Good afternoon, Ma'am Consuelo, and good afternoon, physical educators. We are the 8th group of this session, and we're thrilled to present a series of topics. We prepare bundle of informations for you to become more knowledgeable, as well as exciting parts for you to have fun and smile while learning. And now, are you all ready and excited? This time, I'd like to introduce to you all our outstanding and knowledgeable PE teachers who will be providing you with an assortment of information. We have Teacher John Paul, Teacher Regine, Teacher Anthony Gwynn, and yours truly, Teacher Joannes Sanchez. But before anything else, let us all feel the presence of God for His guidance, care, and love for all of us. As we all say, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Dear Heavenly Father, as we gather here today, we invite your presence into this classroom. Lord, bless each and every student here, as well as our teacher. As we embark on another day of learning, please give us clear minds and open hearts so we can grasp the knowledge and lessons set before us. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. We will not make this time longer. Let the discussion begin. Teachers, the spotlight is now yours.
Everyone, once again, I am Teacher Regine, and for today's video, I am going to discuss about the Unit 5, which is the teacher as a professional. Let's start with the professionalization of teaching. So the first one is the decree professionalizing teaching, or also called as the PD 1006. So let's start with the section 1. So section 1 is the title. So this shall be known as decree professionalizing teaching. Next is the section 2. So section 2 is declaration of policy. So stipulates that teacher education shall be prioritized by the government. Next is the section 3. So section 3 is the definition of terms. So as used in this decree, so the first is teaching. So teaching is the profession primarily concerned with the classroom instructions at the elementary and secondary levels. So next is the teacher. So teacher, all person engaged in teaching at the elementary and secondary levels. So the third one is the board. So board is the national board for teacher duly constituted under this decree. We have here the section 4, which is the creation of the National Board for Teachers. So there is hereby created a National Board for Teachers, herein after called the board to be composed of the following. So the co-chairman, under of the co-chairman is the Secretary of Education and Culture, and the second one is the Chairman Civil Service Commission member. The third one is the Commissioner Professional Regulations Commissions, and the fourth one is the 2 members representing the private sector to be appointed by the President. Next is the section 5. Section 5 is all about power and duty. Set its control and endeavor on the following. A. Appoint a set of examiners for every once a year. B. Determine and fix the places and dates of examination. C. Look from time to time into the conditions affecting the practice of the teaching profession. D. Issue, suspend, revoke, or reissue professional teacher certificate and an administrative oaths. E. Appoint subject to the provision of existing laws. F. Prescribes and collect examination and other fees as it may deem proper. And G. Promulgate rules and regulations and exercise such as other power, function, and duties as may be necessary to carry into the purpose of this degree. Next is Section 6. So Section 6, qualification requirements for examination application. So no applicant shall be admitted to take the examination. So Section 7, appointment of examiners. The board shall appoint a set of examiners for every examination who are recognized authority in teacher education, and their names shall not be disclosed until after the release of the result of the examination. Next is Section 8. So Section 8, scope of the examination. So the examination shall consist of written tests, the scope of which shall be determined by the board taking into consideration the teaching plan of the schools legally constituted in the Philippines. Section 9. So Section 9, ratings in the examinations. In order that a candidate may be deemed to have successfully passed the examinations, he have obtained a general average of at least % in all subjects with no rating below 50% in any subject. Section 10. So Section 10, report of the results of examination. So the examiners shall report the ratings obtained by each candidate to the board within 150 days after the last day of the examination, unless extended by the letter. That concludes for the decree professionalizing teaching, or also known as the PD 1006. Now, let's proceed to the Philippine Teacher Professionalization Act, or also known as Republic Act 7836. Let's start with the Section 1. So, Section 1 is short title. This act should be known as the Philippine Teachers Professionalization Act of 1994. Next is the Section 2, the Statement of Policy. The state recognized the vital role of teachers in nation building and development through responsible and literate citizenry. Toward this end, the state shall ensure and promote quality education by proper supervision and regulation of the licensure, examination, and professionalization of practice of the teaching profession. Next is the Section 3, which is objectives. This act has the herein objectives. So A is the promotion, development, and professionalization of teachers and the teaching profession. And B, the supervision and regulation of the licensure examination. Next is the Section 4, which is the definition of terms. For purposes of this act, the following terms shall mean: A. Teaching. This refers to the profession concerned primarily with classroom instruction at the elementary and secondary levels in accordance with the curriculum prescribed by the Department of Education, Culture, and Sports, whether on part-time or full-time basis in the private or public schools. B. Teachers. So teachers refers to all person engaged in teaching the elementary and secondary levels, whether on full-time or part-time basis, including industrial arts or vocational teachers, and all other persons performing supervisory and administrative functions in all schools in the aforesaid levels and qualified to practice teaching under this act. C is the board. So board refers to the board for professional teachers duly established and constituted under this act. D is the commission. So commission refers to the Professional Regulation Commission. Section 5. So Section 5 is the creation and composition of the board. There is hereby created under this act a board for professional teachers, hereinafter called the board, a collegial body under the general supervision and administrative control of the Professional Regulation Commission, hereinafter referred to as the Commission, composed of 5 members who shall be appointed by the President of the Philippines from among the recommends chosen by the Commission. The shall be chosen from the list of nominees selected by the accredited association of teachers who duly possess all the qualifications prescribed in Section 8 of this Act. The chairman and the vice chairman of the board shall be appointed from these 5 members by the president, provided that the members of the first board appointed under this act shall automatically registered as professional teachers and issued with the certificate of registration and professional license upon payment of the fees for examination, registration, and other fees prescribed by the commission. Section 6. Duties and function of the board. So the board shall have the following duties and function. A. Promulgate, administer, and enforce rules and regulations necessary for carrying out the provision of this act in carrying out this act in accordance with the Charter of the Professional Regulation Commission. B. Determine and fix the frequency, dates, and places of examination, appoint supervisors, proctors, and other personnel as needed who shall be entitled to a daily allowance to be fixed by the board for every examination they actually attended, use buildings and facilities of public or private schools for examination purposes. C. Issue, suspend, or revoke the certificate of registration for the practice of teaching profession. D. Prescribe and collect examination and other fees as it may deem proper. E. Prescribe or adopt a code of ethical and professional standards for the practice of the teaching profession. Such ethical standards, rules, and regulations to take effect 60 days after its publication in the official gazette or in a newspaper of general circulation. And F is the administer oaths in connection with the administration of this act. G. Supervise and regulate the registration, licensure, and practice of professional teachers in the Philippines. H. Adopt an official seal of the board. And I. Look into the conditions affecting the practice of the teaching profession and whenever necessary, adopt such measures as may be deemed proper for the enhancement and maintenance of high professional and ethical standards of the profession. And J. Ensure that all educational institutions offering elementary and secondary education comply with the essential requirements for the curricula, faculty, and facilities for the elementary and secondary levels. And also investigate such violations of this act that rules and the code of ethical and professional standards for professional teachers as it may come to the knowledge of the board for this purpose to issue subpomena. 7. Term of office. The members of the board shall hold office for a term of 3 years from the date the term of 3 years they assume office, provided that the first appointees to the board under this act shall hold office according to the following terms. 1. Member shall serve for 1 year, 1 member for 2 years, the chairman, vice chairman, and 1 member for 3 years. Vacancies shall be served for the unexpired term only. No person who has served for 2 consecutive terms shall be eligible for reappointment. Appointment to fill an unexpired term shall be considered an appointment to a complete term. The chairman or any member shall take his oath of office prior to the performance of his duties. Next is the Section 8. Qualification of board members. Each board members must at the time of his appointment. So A. Be a citizen and resident of the Philippines. B. Be at least 35 years of age, of proven integrity, and possess of high moral values in his personal as well as professional conduct, and has not been convicted of any offense involving moral turpitude. C. Be a holder of the degree of Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science in Education, and preferably a holder of a Master's or Doctorate degree in Education or their equivalents from a university, school, college, academy, or institute duly constituted, recognized, or accredited by the Philippine government. D. Be a professional teacher with a valid certificate of registration and valid professional license, save those members who shall compose the first board for professional teachers. E. Has been a professional teacher in the active practice of the teaching profession for at least 10 years in the elementary and secondary level. And F. Not be an official or member of the faculty, have pecuniary interest in any university, college, school, or institution conferring a bachelor's degree in educations or its equivalents for at least 3 prior years to his appointment, and neither connected with a review center or with any group of association where review classes or lectures in preparations for the licensure examinations are offered or conducted, provided however that the membership to the board shall be evenly distributed to cover all levels of education, including equitability representation of the different fields of specialization. Section 9, which is the compensation of the board. The chairman, vice chairman, and members of the board shall receive compensation comparable to the compensation received by existing regulatory boards under the Professional Regulation Commission, computed the basis of the number of examinees or candidates. Next is the Section 10, which is the supervision of the board and custodian of its record. The board shall be under the supervision and control of the commission. All records, including applications for examination papers and results, minutes of deliberation, administrative cases, and investigative cases and investigations involving professional teachers shall be kept by the commission. Includes for the Philippine Teacher Professionalization Act, or also known as Republic Act 7836. Next is the professional ethics. It is composed of the Code of Conduct for Public Officials and Employees, also known as the Republic Act 6713. So let's start with the Section 1. So Section 1 is the title. So this act shall be known as the Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards for Public Officials and Employees. Next is the Section 2, Declaration of Policies. So it is the policy of the state to promote a high standard of ethics in public service. Public officials and employees shall at all times be accountable to the people and shall discharge their duties with utmost responsibility, integrity, competence, and loyalty, act with patriotism and justice, lead modest lives, and uphold public interest over personal interests. Next is the Section 3, which is the definition of terms. So, as used in this act, the term government includes the national government and the local governments and all other instrumentalities, agencies, or branches of the Republic of the Philippines, including government-owned or corporations and their subsidiaries controlled. Next is the public officials, includes elective and appointive officials and employees, permanent or temporary, whether in the career or non-career service, including military and police personnel, whether or not they receive compensation regardless of a month. Next is gift. So gift refers to a thing or a right to dispose of graciously or any act or liberality in favor of another who accepts it, and shall include a simulated sale or an ostensibly onerous disposition. It shall not include in unsolicited gift of nominal or insignificant value not given in anticipation of or in exchange of a favor from a public official or employee. Let's proceed to the Magna Carta for Public School Teacher, also known as the Republic Act 4670. As stipulated in the Section 1 of this law, this act aims to promote and improve the social and economic status of public school teachers, their living and working conditions, their terms of employment and career prospects in order that they may compare favorably with existing opportunities in other walks of life, attract and retain in the teaching profession more people with the proper qualifications, it being recognized that advances in education depends on the qualifications and ability of the teaching staff, and that education is an essential factor in the economic growth of the nation as a productive investment of a vital performance. This act, as stated in Section 2, shall apply to all public school teachers except those in the professional staff of the state colleges and university. Special provision in this act include the following. Section 5. Tenure of office. Stability of employment and security of tenure shall be assured the teachers as provided under existing laws, subject to the provision of Section 3 hereof. Teachers appointed on a provisional status for lack of necessary civil service eligibility shall be extended permanent appointment for the position he is holding after having rendered at least 10 years of continuous, efficient, and faithful service in such position. Next is Section 6. Consent for transportation expenses, except for cause as herein otherwise provided, no teacher shall be transferred without his consent from one station to another. Section 7. Code of Professional Conduct for Teachers. Within 6 months from the approval of this act, the Secretary of Education shall formulate and prepare a code of professional conduct for public school teachers. Then Section 8, safeguards in disciplinary procedure. Every teacher shall enjoy equitable safeguards at each stage of any disciplinary procedure and shall have the right to be informed in writing of the charges, the right to full access to the evidence in the case, the right to defend himself, to be defended by the representative of his choice or by his organization, adequate time being given to the teacher for the preparation of his defense, and the right to appeal to clearly designated opportunities. No publicity shall be given to any disciplinary action being taken against a teacher during the pendency of his case. Next is Section 9, Administrative Charges. Administrative charges against a teacher shall be heard initially by a committee composed of the corresponding school superintendent of the division or a duly authorized representative who should at least have the rank of division supervisor, where the teacher belongs as chairman or representative of the local, or it is absent any existing provincial or any teachers organization. Next is the Section 10. No discrimination. There shall be no discrimination whatsoever in the entrance to the teaching profession or its existence, or in the termination of service based on any ground other than professional consideration. And that concludes for my discussion. I hope you learned a lot from me. Now, I will give the floor to Teacher Paul.
Hi, my name is Teacher John, and today I'll be discussing to you the teacher's rights, duties, and responsibilities, the Education Act of 1982. The Republic Act of 232, known as the Education Act, was signed into law by then President Ferdinand E. Marcos, and it actually consists of Section 10, 11, and 16 of this law clarify the rights and duties of teachers. First up, we have the Section 10, which is the rights of all school personnel. Section 10 right typically refer to the rights of the school personnel regarding to the freedom of expression and association. These rights aim to protect teachers and staff in expressing their views on educational matters without fear of reprisal. It's crucial to strike a balance between these rights and maintaining a conducive learning environment. One of which example was Section 10 rights for school personnel could be the freedom to express their opinions on educational matters, policies, issues, or school-related concerns without facing retaliation. This could include participating in discussions, offering constructive criticism, or engaging in dialogue to contribute to the improvement of the educational environment. Next is, we have Section 11, Special Rights and or Privileges of Teaching or Academic Staff under the Educational Community Chapter 2, Rights. The Section 11 often outlines special rights and privileges for teaching or academic staff, addressing matters like academic freedom, tenure, and professional autonomy. These provisions are designed to safeguard educators in pursuing scholarly activities, expressing diverse viewpoints, and ensuring job insecurity through tenure in higher education institutions. These rights contribute to fostering a vibrant and intellectually stimulating academic environment. One of which example is special rights for teaching or academic staff could be the concept of academic freedom. These rights grants educators the freedom to pursue scholarly research, explore various academic viewpoints, and express their ideas without undue interference. Academic freedom helps create an environment where intellectual exploration and diversity of thought are valued, contributing to the advancement of knowledge within educational institutions. Additionally, tenure is often considered as a special privilege under Section 11, providing job security to qualified and experienced faculty members after probationary period. Next is, we have the Section 16, Teacher's Obligation. This is the same under the Educational Community, but Chapter 2, Duties and Obligations. Now, Section 16 typically outlines the obligation of teachers encompassing responsibilities such as providing quality education, maintaining professional conduct, and fostering a positive learning environment. These obligations often include promoting the welfare of students, collaborating obligations with colleagues, and adhering to the ethical standards. The aim is to ensure that the educators contribute to the overall development and well-being of students while upholding the standards of the education system. One of the pertinent examples to the Section 16 is that an example is outlining teachers' obligation could include their responsibility to create and maintain a safe and inclusive learning environment. The obligation might involve addressing instances of bullying or discrimination promptly, ensuring students feel respected and supported. Teachers under Section 16 are often expected to adhere to professional conduct, follow curriculum guidelines, and actively contribute to the holistic development of their students, both academically and socially. Next is, we have teachers as persons in authority, Commonwealth Act 578. The Section 1 article in the 152 of the revised penal code is amended to read as follows. Article 152, persons in authority who shall be deemed as such in applying the provisions of the preceding and other articles of this code, any persons vested with jurisdiction, whether as individual or as a member of some court or governmental corporation, board, or commission, shall be deemed in a person authority. Now, in applying the provisions of Article 148 and 151 of this code, teachers, professors, and others charged with the supervision of public or duly recognized private schools, colleges, and universities shall be deemed person in authority. Before, our understanding is that the person in authority are those who are working in higher position. But upon the implementation of Commonwealth, we have this teachers are already recognized as the persons in authority to protect themselves for some instances, especially in educational institution. And yes, the Commonwealth Act 578 8, Section 2, this act shall be take effect on its approval. The Common Act number 578 protects teachers by providing a provision on punishing against any person guilty of assault against teaching personnel, according due respect and protection for teachers who are considered as person in authority. So basically, the Commonwealth Act number 578 protects the teachers to some of the reason that might put them in danger. So this Commonwealth itself will protect them as a professional or as person in authority.
Good afternoon, physical educators! Again, this is Mr. Sanchez, and we will be talking about Unit 6 or the other relevant laws to the teaching profession. So the first Republic Act is the Republic Act 6728, entitled The Government Assistance to Students and Teachers in Private Education Act. So the Republic Act of 6728, or known as Government Assistance to Students and Teachers in Private Education Act, it is an act that provides vouchers in elementary and secondary education, wherein students who want to study at private schools will be accredited. This act supports students who could not afford tuition fees at private schools. And aside from that, teachers and future educators who wants to teach in private schools would benefit also from this act, as they are given chance to work on their desired profession, which is teaching. So therefore, it is very helpful not only for the students but also for the parents. If these vouchers will continue, many children would achieve their dreams and they can help their parents by having a stable job in the near future. And the number of out-of-school youth will decrease. Moreover, Filipinos could compete with other countries in terms of education because of the support given by the government officials and agencies on improving the educational system here in the Philippines. Now let's move on to the Republic Act 8545, entitled Expanded Government Assistance to Students and Teacher in Private Education Act, or also known as the CASPE. This Republic Act 6728 and its expanded coverage through Republic Act of 8545 were enacted to provide government assistance to students and teachers in private education in recognition of the government's constitutional mandate to maintain a system of grants, subsidies, and incentives to students in both public and private. So this means that this Republic Act provides legal basis for state-funded programs of financial assistance to stakeholders in private education. So Teacher Sanchez, how does the government provide assistance to private schools based on Republic Act number 6728 and Republic Act number 8545? The programs for assistance shall be based on a set of criteria which shall include, among others, the tuition fees charged by the schools, the socio-economic needs of each region, the overall performance of the schools, the academic qualifications and the financial needs of the students, as well as the geographic spread and size of student population. Teacher Sanchez, what are the qualifications that are required for the applicants of the government's programs of assistance as stipulated in Republic Act number 6728 and Republic Act number 8545? So, for the purpose of this act, an underprivileged student shall refer to a student whose gross income if any, and that of the combined annual gross income of his or her parents do not exceed 70,000 pesos. So teacher, what amendments to Republic Act 6728 are made by Republic Act number 8545? So, in addition to the foregoing criteria within such reasonable time as the State Assistance Council may determine, students grantees under the Private Education Student Financial Assistance Program shall be enrolled in schools which have accredited programs or applying for accreditation as determined the Federation of Accrediting Agencies of the Philippines, namely, number 1, the Philippine Association of Accredited Schools, number 2, the colleges and universities, number 3, the Association of Christian Schools and Colleges Accrediting Agency, number 4, and the Philippine Association of Colleges and Universities Commission on Accreditation. Now, let's move on to the Republic Act 7877 entitled Anti-Sexual Harassment Act of 1995. So this act addresses the issue of sexual harassment committed in work and education or training environment. It was signed into law on February 14, 1995 under former President Fidel Ramos administration. So teacher, what is sexual harassment? So, under the law, work, education, or training related sexual harassment is committed by an employer, employee, manager, supervisor, agent of the employer, the teacher, instructor, professor, coach, trainer, or any other person who have authority, influence, or moral ascendancy over another in a work or training or education environment. So, any persons who violates the provisions of the law shall be penalized by imprisonment of not less than 1 month nor more than 6 months, or a fine of not less than 10,000 pesos nor more than 20,000 pesos, or both such fine and imprisonment at the discretion of the court. So, any action arising from the violation of the provisions of this act shall prescribe in 3 years. So, teacher, where do we go for help? Number 1, the Philippine National Police or the PNP, the Women and Children's Concern Division or the WCCD. Number 3, the Civil Service Commission or the CSC. And number 4, the Department of Labor and Employment or the DOLE. The next one is the Republic Act 8190 entitled Granting Priority to Residents of the Barangay, Municipality or City where the school is located in the appointment or assignment of classroom public school teachers. So in the appointment or assignment of teachers to public elementary or secondary schools, priority shall be given to bona fide residents of the barangay or the municipality, city, or even province where the school is located, provided that the teacher possesses all the minimum qualification for the position as required by the law. So in general, this Republic Act is applicable to all public school teachers, especially those who are still applying for the Teacher 1 position. So this law provides that in the appointment and assignment of teacher to public schools and other learning centers with vacant teaching positions, the priority shall be given to the bona fide resident of the barangay, the municipality, the city, or the province where the school is located, and in no particular order, provided that thus the teacher possessed all of the qualifications for the position as acquired by the law and the BPEd orders. So what do we mean about bona fide resident? Okay, so this refers to qualified applicant who is prior to appointment resident for a period of 6 months of a particular barangay. Next up is the Republic Act of 9262 entitled Anti-Violence Against Women and Their Children Act of 2004. So this law seeks to address the prevalence of violence against women and their children, or the VAWC, by their intimate partners like their husbands, their ex-husbands, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your dating partner, or even your former dating partner. So why Republic Act 9262? So the Anti-Violence Against Women and Their Children Act of 2004 has been significant in the protection of the rights of women and children against gender-based violence. The VAWC reports the Philippine National Police have increased 49.4% from 1997 to 2013. A 2008 National Demographic and Health Survey conducted by National Statistics Office with women participants from 15 to 49 years old found out that 1 in 5 women have experienced physical abuse from their husbands, and 4% of these women have experienced such act of violence during their pregnancy. Domestic violence committed to women who are widowed or separated might also be the reason of their separation or annulment. These women were not exempted from experiencing sexual violence, as 1 in 25 of the participants were forced to engage in sexual intercourse on their first ever sexual experience, while 1 in 10 experienced sexual abuse. The most common types of spousal violence, apart from physical and sexual violence, were emotional and other forms of non-personal violence. As a result, 1 in 3 women have reported to the authority of their experience of violence with marks of trauma left by their physical injuries. About 10% are haunted by psychological scars, as 3 in 5 abused women are left with depression, anxiety, anger, which could develop into their attempts to commit suicide.
Thank you, Teacher Joannes, for that wonderful and informative discussion. Allow me to continue to discuss other laws relevant to the teaching profession. So the next law is the Republic Act 9710, or the Magna Carta of Women. So the Magna Carta of Women is a comprehensive women's human rights law that seeks to eliminate discrimination through the recognition, protection, fulfillment, and promotion of the rights of Filipino women, especially those belonging to the marginalized sectors of society.
Republic Act 8491, Flag and Heraldic Code of the Philippines. Republic Act number 8491, also known as the Flag and Heraldic Code of the Philippines, is a law in the Philippines that outlines the proper use and display of the national flag, motto, coat of arms, and other heraldic items. Enacted in 1998, the law aims to instill respect and reverence for national symbols and ensure their appropriate use. The legislation specifies guidelines for the correct design and proportions of the flag, regulates its display in public and private establishments, and mandates proper conduct during flag ceremonies. Republic Act 8491 reflects the importance placed on national symbols in fostering patriotism and national identity in the Philippines.
So the next Republic Act is 1057. So this one is the Kindergarten Education Act. So Republic Act number 10157, also known as the Kindergarten Education Act, is a law in the Philippines that was enacted in 2012. So nahitabo na bote siya pag 2012, 11 years ago na. The law mandates the institutionalization of kinder education as part of the basic education system. It requires the Department of Education or DepEd to implement a standardized kindergarten curriculum across the Philippines. And the law recognizes the importance of early childhood education in the holistic development of children, aiming to prepare them for formal schooling like elementary na. And this act ensures that kindergarten education is accessible to all Filipino children. So nice di kay kaning Republic Act kay nag-ensure nga dapat accessible ni tanan sa Filipino children. Typically for those aged 5 years old ni siya, 5 years old, providing a foundation for their physical, social, emotional, and cognitive growth before entering primary school or elementary school. So this Republic Act has key provisions. The first one is the mandatory kindergarten education. So the law makes kindergarten education compulsory for all 5-year-old children before they enter grade 1. So this Republic Act nag-ensure nga dapat ang 5-year-old children kay dapat moagi aning kindergarten before they enter grade 1 or primary school. Number 2 is the access to quality education. Republic Act 10571 emphasizes the need for the government to provide accessible and quality kindergarten education programs, ensuring that schools have adequate facilities and qualified teachers. Number 3 is the parental involvement. So the law encourages the active participation of parents in the education for their children. It recognizes the crucial role of parents in the holistic development of their children. So holistic meaning as a whole, na nasa social, physical, mental, emotional. And dapat na mo-guide na sila ang mga parents sa ilang children, especially during the early years. Number 4 is the curriculum development. So curriculum development, so the law calls for the development of a standard national curriculum for kindergarten education, taking into consideration the diverse cultures and languages in the Philippines. The last one is the coordinations with LGUs or local government units. So the Republic Act 10157 emphasizes the coordination between the national government and local government units in implementing kindergarten programs to ensure effective and efficient delivery of services. So dapat yun na sa help or coordination ang kanang LGUs and the national government para mas effective ang pag-implement sa kindergarten programs. Dapat sila dapat i-integrate nila ilahang mga skill o mga kakayahan kay dagko nabi sila sa government units.
So the next Republic Act is Republic Act 10533 or Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013. Republic Act 10533, known as the Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013, is a significant piece of legislation in the Philippines that introduced major reforms in the country's educational system. The law was signed by President Benigno S. Aquino III on May 15, 2013, and its implementation aimed to address issues in the Philippine educational system, particularly the need for a more globally competitive curriculum. The law is commonly referred to as the K-12 law because it adds 2 years to the existing 10-year basic education curriculum.
So the Republic Act 10533 has provisions and key features. So the first one is the K-12 system. So the K-12 system, so the law extends the basic education cycle in the Philippines from grade 10 to grade 12 and 2. So 10 to 12 years na dapat. Mother tongue-based multilingual education or MTB-MLE. The education law promotes the use of the learner's mother tongue as the medium of instruction in the early years of elementary education. Mao to ang grade 1 to grade 3. If kaya bantay mo sa uban kita wata kaabot ato. Mao to gigamit nila Bisaya or Cebuano lang gigamit as mother tongue diri sa Cebu. And And this is aimed at helping students grasp concepts more easily before transitioning to Filipino and English as the primary languages of instruction in higher grades. So nakahelp sa ni ang mother tongue para dili kuratan ang mga estudyante before transitioning sa kanang Filipino and English na as primary languages sa instruction. The fourth one is the spiral progression. The curriculum is designed with a spiral progression approach, revisiting and deepening certain topics in different grade levels. This is intended to enhance the mastery of concepts and skills over time. The fifth one is the specialization in senior high school. So the senior high school program offers various tracks that students can choose based on the interest and career goals. These tracks include academic. Academic is the ABM, accountancy, business management, the STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and humanities and social sciences. Technical, vocational, livelihood, and sports and track arts. The senior high school program is intended to provide students with more options for career paths after graduation. So kaning senior high school program kay nakahelp na og provide og students sa kanang usay lang buhaton, usay lang option after graduation kay na sila skills man kay na ni-take naman sila sa senior high school ana. The last one is the BPEd programs and projects. So the law mandates the Department of Education or DepEd to implement various programs and projects to enhance the quality of education. This includes efforts to improve teacher education, enhance the quality of textbooks, and ensure the availability of school facilities and resources. So this Republic Act sad kinag-enhance atong facilities sa resources sa schools atong textbook para mas better pa jud ang atuang pag-study. And take note, the Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013 sa DI kay nagrepresenta siya og comprehensive effort to align the Philippine educational system with international standards and better equip students for the challenges of the 21st century. It seeks to provide a more holistic and relevant educational experiences for Filipino students. So, kanidi siyang Philippine education system kay align na siya sa international standards like sa US na sila kito 12 daan, sa Japan na nakito 12, sa ubang countries sa international na sila kito 12 daan mo nang ni-adapt gi-align ang Philippine education system sa international. So the last Republic Act is 10931 or Universal Access to Quality Tertiary Education Act. The Republic Act 10931, also known as the Universal Access to Quality Tertiary Education Act, is a Philippine law that was signed into law on August 3, 2017. The law aims to provide access to quality tertiary education for all Filipino citizens by removing barriers such as tuition and other school fees in state universities and colleges and local universities and colleges. And this act is mauna ni ang free tuition, which is like sa mga sa mga state universities and local universities such as CNU, UP, Norso, Baiso, and also Lapu-Lapu City College, Mandawi City College, and Talisay City College. And this Republic Act has key features and provisions as well. The first one is the free tuition and other school fees. The most notable provision of Republic Act 10931 is the provision of free tuition and other school fees for students enrolled in undergraduate programs in state universities and local universities. These includes tuition, miscellaneous fees, and other necessary fees. So mao niya to na-experience karon as CNU students naka-experience na nga og free tuition and other miscellaneous fees. We are so lucky kay na-appeal ta ani and na wala na tayo bayaran, only bound na lang. The second provision or key feature is the coverage of other educational expenses. In addition to free tuition sa kaniyang first provision, the law also covers other educational expenses such as laboratory fees sa mga kanang medical students, examination fees, library fees, and other fees deemed necessary by the institution or the school. The third key features or provision of this Republic Act is the financial assistance for other tertiary education institutions, where the primary focus is on the state universities and local universities. The law also includes provisions for financial assistance to qualified students in private higher education institutions through the Unified Student Financial Assistance System for Tertiary Education, or UNIFAS. This assistance may come in the form of grants, scholarships, loans, or subsidies. The fourth one is the priority for indigent students. Indigent is katong mga walay kaya or naglisod. The law gives priority to financially disadvantaged students, ensuring that they have access to tertiary education. This is in line with the government's commitment to promote inclusivity and equal opportunities in education here in our country. So that's all for today, and I will give the floor back to Mr. Joannes or Teacher Joannes to close the session.
Thank you so much, teachers, for those informative discussions. I am confident that we have answered our students' curiosities and doubts. Because everyone concurs with our topic, I am confident that you are all learning. I think that's the end of our discussion, and we will leave the class with a quote that work hard in silence and let success make the noise. Thank you and have a great day ahead.